Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to do another review for you. This one will probably be another short and sweet one because I really don't have a lot to say, but I did want to get a review out for you in case you haven't checked out this book yet. And that book is The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. This is actually her first book published that I really knew about, but I ended up reading this I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson first. So I read this, and then ever since I read this one, I wanted to read this one. It took me a couple of years to get a copy of it. I finally did, and I read it this month, and I want to review it for you. This is the contemporary story about one sister's grief over the sudden death of her sister. It's truly about loving someone even after they're gone, the grieving process, and just grief in general. One thing that stood out to me in this book as amazing is the family. I loved Lenny's grandmother and uncle. I just thought they were so quirky and cool, and they really seemed like a real family. Bailey is already gone once this book starts. It's just kind of picking up with the grieving process. It's a sudden death of Bailey. We're really not sure why, but Lenny is grieving. She lives with her grandmother and her uncle, and her grandmother just seems like this free spirit hippie lady, and her uncle is like a pothead and he's just crazy, and I don't know, he just seems so cool. Like, I would just love to be Lenny as far as like living in that environment, but not the loss of my sister because that would devastate me. But one thing that I didn't feel that this novel did a really good job of was showing the connection that Bailey and Lenny had while, you know, they were both still living. I felt that that part was missing. I know that Nelson tried to insert a little bit of that through Lenny writing these letters and or bits of poetry and like leaving them places, and it's actually shown quite a bit throughout the book. So you'll see things like this in here, and this, and this. So you find little bits and pieces of how Lenny is feeling. So the notes like this are really how I feel like you get to know the sisters, how their relationship was, and you can obviously tell that Lenny really misses her sister. One of the main things that happens in this story is that there is a love triangle, and hear me out. There are two guys in Lenny's life. One is her late sister's boyfriend, and one is this new boy that moves into town. Toby is Bailey's late boyfriend, and they kind of have a connection, Lenny and Toby do, of missing Bailey and grieving, and just they kind of know each other and they hung out sometimes, but they really shouldn't be attracted to each other because it is her sister's boyfriend, or was her sister's boyfriend, and she's kind of processing that like I shouldn't be attracted to him. But she's also growing up and getting older, and she's at that part in her life where she is becoming attracted to guys and thinking about those types of things. Then there is the new guy that moves into town named Joe, and they actually have a lot in common. Joe has heard what happened, and he's trying to befriend her, and he ends up going over her house a lot and spending time with like her and her grandmother and her uncle, and you definitely can tell that he's the better choice for Lenny, but Lenny kind of has to figure that out for herself. So she's balancing the grief of her sister with this guy drama that's going on, but there's also the part where her mother is not in her life and never has been since they were little, and you're trying to figure out like, why wasn't the mother in the life? I don't even think the father is ever mentioned, but yeah, the mother left because she is also a very free spirit, and you kind of hear a little bit about that. So it's kind of like her feeling like she's all alone, even though she has her grandmother and her uncle there, but it seems like a really cool family. But it's finding the balance of growing up, grieving, guys, losing her sister, everything. And since Lenny is dealing with so much and trying to balance it all, it does kind of all become a big mess. So it definitely gets a lot worse. That's to be expected when you're grieving and you're not really thinking straight as well. But everything kind of topples over, and it's, can she fix her mistakes and move on from them? Can she keep it all together, or is just everything gonna fall apart? So I did end up enjoying this one, but it wasn't one of my favorite contemporary by any means. I didn't think that the writing itself really stood out as anything new and fresh and different. I did love the characters, especially, like I have said several times in this review, the family dynamics, and that just seemed really realistic. And the love triangle also seemed very realistic as well, for someone that age. And I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was good. If you're looking into like maybe a beginner's guide to contemporary, this would be on there. This one was published in 2010, so it is one of those older contemporaries that not a lot of people are reading currently. There's tons of new contemporary out there if you're looking for that, but this is a good one to go back to, especially if you like Jandy Nelson. But that's all for today's review. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you again in my next one. Bye!